Should Liv Morgan have won the Women's Championship on this episode of Raw? I don't know. Actually, I do know. I think... probably not. I'm Ollie Davis. I'm joined by Luke Owen, D.A.D. Welcome to the Raw Review podcast. He's just getting his championship, which was not on the floor.
No, it wasn't.
It was on this lovely cushion.
Velvet pillow.
Velvet pillow that a tiny person is just polishing. He's tending to it down there.
A borrower.
Yeah. And this episode is sponsored by Geology.
It certainly is. Making handsome a habit. What a wonderful, wonderful product Geology is. Basically, all you got to do is click the link in the video description down below, take a very quick 30-second quiz, and you'll be given a regiment that is specifically tailored for you. And it gets sent straight to your door. Fabulous little service. Also, click that link down there. Not only do you take a quiz that's only 30 seconds long, once you've agreed to buy the product, you get 50% off.
What?
50% off.
It's a huge saving.
Incredible saving, just in time for Christmas, no less. So yeah, please click the link down below. Thank you so much to Geology for being a wonderful sponsor of today's show.
We'll dive more into that box after the main discussion point. So, the main event, not always the plan, by the way. This episode of Raw opened with a random steel cage match between Big E and Kevin Owens.
Yeah.
By all accounts, that was meant to main event the entire show up until 4 hours before the episode went on air.
Sure was.
But they switched it with the women's title match, and you know what? Good.
I think it was the right call.
Definitely the right call. I thought it made, like, all the stuff they had around the main event, because the match itself was fine. A bit above fine, I would say. They went under 15 minutes, I think.
It was like 14 and a half minutes, yeah.
But all the pomp and circumstance around it. Liv got this awesome video package about her journey from being a childhood fan. The interviews with her mum about how she came up through the company and stuff. Excellently done. Excellently put together. They got promos throughout the night to build it up. There's this looming weight of history with Lita and Trish Stratus having main evented Raw 17 years prior.
Which they had done as a video package earlier in the show.
Another blonde versus another redhead. Yeah. Like, that's a level of detail WWE rarely acknowledges. And they're like, well, this time the blonde is going to win. Yeah. Or Trish messaged Liv that. And I just thought it was incredibly well done. The crowd got really into it. While the match was, above average, it wasn't blow away, but I thought what Becky does is she makes matches feel big time.
Yeah, for lack of a better term, she does, doesn't she? Like, that's exactly what I wrote in my notes. This feels like a big time match, despite the fact that it's had, a week's worth of promotion.
There's been about 3-4 weeks of build.
Yeah, it was like about maybe 2 weeks before Survivor Series is when they sort of set this match up because Liv won that match to get her into this position. So they have been building this for a handful of weeks to get to this point, but they really ramped it up in this episode and made it feel like a massive big time match. And I think that is why, going by the Trish and Lita stuff, it being in the main event, the video package that was played beforehand that you mentioned about Liv's history with the company and wanting to be this champion since she was a little girl, made people think she was going to win this match. Like, it felt like the company was telling you, you're going to see a new champion at the end of this show. And you didn't get that. What you got was Becky Lynch winning the same way she did against Charlotte Flair, which was the roll-up and the grabbing of the ropes, which I think is a perfect finish to this. I absolutely loved the finish of this, so long as it's setting up the next chapter of this story.
Ooh, I mean, did you watch the Bianca Belair feud? Because what WWE and Becky like to do is Becky will cheat to win, and then she'll cheat to win, and then she'll cheat to win, and then the challenger goes off somewhere else.
Well, yes.
Do you not think this is... So, I agree with everything you said. I also agree with Becky winning here. I think it's quite clear, because the story so far has been Becky doesn't believe Liv has it.
That's exactly it, yeah.
And now Becky had to cheat to win, so Liv has got perfect ammunition to throw back in Lynch's face, and that will likely build to a rematch on day one, where maybe, it's probably 50-50, that they'll give Morgan the title.
Well, if it was me, this is like my fantasy scenario, writ large, is now that Becky has beaten Liv and Becky cheats to win, she can now duck the challenge. She can duck the rematch. I've already beaten you. There's no way that you're going to challenge for the belt again. And you have Morgan win the Rumble. Oh, god damn. So you then have Morgan versus Lynch set for Mania that Becky can't duck anymore. And, you know, you can, and then find a way, and then you give Liv the big win here. Because it really feels like this whole match felt like the company telling you she is going to win the belt. It may not be tonight, but down the line, she is going to, and very, very soon, she will be the Raw Women's Champion. What you've done there, Luke, is dare to dream. Well, that's exactly it, right? Because I, not even in my wildest fantasies, had conceived of anything so long term. No, they'll just do it again next week. I was like, oh yeah, I know the story. This is eventually going to go back to Bianca Belair and Becky Lynch. That's probably your WrestleMania match. Belair probably might win that. Liv is a filler. She's a filler feud for Becky, and they're doing quite a good job of elevating her in that regard. But man, that's a fantastic story. It is a good story, right? And I feel like that story is there in WWE's lap. My concern is, and we've seen this a lot in WWE since WrestleMania 30, WWE did their very best to not have Daniel Bryan be the WWE champion and to make sure that you knew that he was not the WWE champion. He was just a filler feud. But the fans made them change their minds. WWE's rewriting of history was like, it was always the plan at SummerSlam. BS, no, it wasn't. The plan for WrestleMania was Bryan versus Sheamus, Randy Orton versus Batista. Like that is absolute fact. Triple H versus Punk. That is undisputed fact. But they've rewritten the history to be like, no, that was the plan all along. Fake news. But because they have rewritten that history so much that they now believe that's the case, they'd think that the way to build up a babyface is just to beat them, and then the fans will tell you that we want them to win, and then they win. So I have this feeling that they are doing a Daniel Bryan with Liv Morgan here. Maybe you beat her here, beat her again at day one, and then maybe you do the Rumble win and something. Like it just feels like that's the direction they're going. Like Bianca Belair, as much as I thought her match with Doudrop was my favorite thing on the show. What? Oh yeah, I thought it was apart from the finish, which was real bad. I loved the match itself. Feels like they've taken Belair off the championship boil. So she's just doing something else, yeah. But yeah, now that she's busy over there. Now that you've said that, maybe like Belair Becky does feel like that's the bigger match, right, for Mania. But I feel like there's more in this story than there is in doing Belair again. What I'm surprised by, and don't anybody take this the wrong way because I mean it positively. You can't believe people like Liv Morgan. Yes. But like that makes it sound so much worse than it is. Like there were people that they kept cutting to the crowd. Kevin, credit where credit's due. Thought the camera work was amazing in this main event. They found the exact right people in the crowd to focus on. We almost got a new Miz girl out of it. This young girl who was really upset that Liv had lost. And her dad next to her laughing his tits off. Yes, very funny. Your favourite lost. First time being a WWE fan. You'll get used to it. You'll grow up real fast, kid. Someone did screenshot that being like, WWE, we put smiles on fans' faces. Where was I going with that? Oh yeah, Liv. But so many people in that arena were really, really behind her. And I like Liv. I don't think she's ever been pushed to the extent that she probably could get over. And personally, she does not have that amazing connection with me yet. But if she's connected... But I don't understand Jeff Hardy. But I can recognize he connects with loads of people. He should always be pushed to a certain degree. If Liv is having this kind of reaction from fans, and granted some of that might be Becky and an actual story going into it, but that's very promising. Yeah, I would certainly say so. The other thing I wanted to make mention of this, and I feel like maybe we are beating a bit of a dead horse here, but man, WWE do not know how to pace shows anymore. Oh, yeah. So Becky Lynch came out for this main event segment with like 35 minutes left of Raw to go. She made her entrance. Then we got like a bunch of stuff. Like we had some backstage segments, we had some video packages, we had multiple ad breaks, and then Liv Morgan's entrance, and then another ad break. To the point when there's only 14 minutes left of the show for them to have a match. When Becky made her entrance, and I don't know why I thought this, because they literally did this on Making SmackDown 4 nights ago, and they're being like, can't believe they're going to give this 30 minutes. That's amazing. No, more fool me. She makes her entrance to wait for 15 minutes so they can then do the match.
But how are people going to know that Veer Mahan is still coming?
Well, yeah, maybe he's coming directly from India at this point, walking.
The COVID restrictions and traveling. My criticism was going to be that I think people are getting annoyed in the wrong way with Becky using the rope to retain all the time. I get that sometimes as a heel, it's fun to have your bit that you do, but I think it's got a bit stale.
Well, I think it's building up to when someone kicks out of it, right? Like if you were to
You would hope so.
If you do this again with Liv Morgan, you would hope that Liv Morgan then kicks out of that spot. So you, the fan, have been conditioned to think that's the end of the match. I know it's like when people are kind of a bit sick of I keep calling him Miz, MJF and the Diamond Ring, right? Oh, I'm sick of the Diamond Ring finish. It's all building to that moment when someone kicks out of the Diamond Ring shot. And I think that's kind of what we're waiting for with this Becky finish. So I quite like it still. But maybe that's because I've written something in my head that they're not actually building to.
Yeah, I would not discount that.
Always possible.
So really interesting episode of Raw. We've had a grand total of 3 Ultrachats.
Yeah, people seem to be... We didn't get hardly anything for the War Game show yesterday either.
Yeah.
And like that War Game show was potentially Johnny Gargano's final WWE match and one of Kyle O'Reilly's final WWE matches as well. And people were like, yeah.
Yeah, well, you know, isn't that WWE's tagline sometimes? WrestleTalk.com/support. Get your Ultra Chats in there. We'll read out every single one over $5. Jonathan Hedman says, I legit got mad at Liv not winning last night. WWE doesn't have any recent goodwill to show that they will pay this off down the road. Unless you count the egg. Well, then, okay, I'll wait. They followed up on it remarkably well. Apart from that, again, maybe the medicine. Good Raw. I wish it was Wednesday. Okay, yeah, Wednesday for AEW. And chronically Mags, didn't watch Raw, but I'm up at 3 a.m. because my dog is having cataract surgery to see again today. Wish Gordon some luck. Jam that jam.
Good luck.
Luke doesn't like dogs, though.
Well, neither do you.
I'm just a cat guy. But good luck, Gordon. And Dylan Starr says, haven't watched Raw in forever, and I've missed most of the podcast because of work, but the boss is off this week, so here I am. Here's $5 for Ollie's great customer service earlier.
What did you do earlier?
What did I do earlier?
What customer service were you providing earlier?
Customer service.
Is Magazine Rich signing off emails with your name?
What we do as social media manager, I make everybody who works for us sign off as Ollie when they do something good.
Yeah. And if it's bad, Andy.
It's Andy, yeah. Before we get on with the rest of the show, Geology.
Oh yeah, let me pop this championship.
Is it happening? Is the
the
most over gimmick in wrestling happening?
Sponsor cam!
Yay!
Right, so let's get sponsor cam round here because it's time.
It's a longer lead.
It's a longer lead, which means I can also speak into the microphone. Tell us all about Geology, Ollie, because you genuinely love this, right?
I'm a faithful user. I used it this morning. So what Geology is, and what I love about it so much, is if you've ever tried to get into skincare, and I read all the articles. It was one of my lockdown aims because I was inside so much. I was getting bad skin. It's very difficult to know what you need and when you need to take it. And even when you get the tubs, it's like, apply twice a day. And I'm like, apply what twice a day?
Yeah.
What Geology does is you take a quiz. It tells you, based on your age, what you do for a job, like loads of little factors.
What you want to get out of it.
Exactly. What you need and what your skincare regime should look like. So,
for example, like this is my box. This is the box that I got from the quiz that I took. And one of the things that I was quite keen on is that I get quite puffy eyes. So I've got that's my everyday face wash right there. That is my morning face cream.
Oh, that's the same as that
one. You get two everyday washes. Because one of them is for your gym bag. And then I've got my repairing night cream and my absolute little favorite one. Look at this little beauty. The nourishing eye cream. Oh, it has made me feel so much better about myself. And genuinely, because I get quite dry skin, particularly in winter. And Geology has given me the confidence now to not feel self-conscious about that. It has, as they put it, made handsome a habit. So please do click the link in the video description down below. Look how good Ollie Davis's skin is using Geology. Oh,
I after the night shifts of Full Gear and Survivor Series, I didn't use it for about 5 days because I was just lazy. And yeah, like almost immediately, I started getting dry skin on my eyebrows where I always do. And yeah, I did it again. And it went almost immediately.
Yeah.
So love it.
Click the link in the video description down below. Take the 30-second quiz and get 50% off. Oh, delightful stuff.
Right. So this show opened in your face, didn't it? It was Seth Rollins going, there's going to be a match right now of Kevin Owens versus Big E. And I was like, what? In a steel cage right now? Might be the best concentration of talkers in WWE in a feud.
That's a good point, actually. Yeah, I think they are very good at hyping up this match as well, because I was making fun of this match yesterday on the War Games show because I'd seen a War Games match and then I was about to see a second War Games match, and they aired a promo video to hype up Raw where they said, you will see a rarely seen cage match. And I was like, well, I've already seen one. I'm about to see a second, and I've got a third on Monday. And then it cut to Kyle O'Reilly challenging Von Wagner to a cage match on NXT on Tuesday. And I was like, I'm going to have seen 4 in 3 days. That doesn't sound very rare.
It's the new roll-up finish. Hammer it into the ground.
But having said that, it's Kevin Owens and Big E, and they went in there and pummeled the crap out of each other in this cage match. It was awesome.
Yeah, really good match. Of course it is. Of course it was going to be. Midway through, Big E was nearly going to escape through the door, but Seth Rollins slammed it on his head. Seth's outside from that point onwards. But ultimately, it was Big E who hit a second rope big ending on Owens to win. Not a pinfall win and not a escape out the cage at the top of the cage, but through the door. So it's like the least humiliating of the defeats, but still, like, that result. Why would you do that in the build to a triple threat if Owens wasn't leaving? I'm not saying this is conclusive proof that he's leaving, but it's another nail in that coffin.
I think it's only... I would agree with you if it was a pinfall finish. But the fact that it was Big E leaving the cage, like, I thought that was... in WWE's mind, oh, we've protected Kevin Owens in that finish because he didn't get pinned.
He'll definitely re-sign now.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, we put him in a title match. It worked on Cesaro. He's stuck here for another 5 years. So yeah, I don't know if I buy into the he's leaving just yet. I'm now convinced that Johnny Gargano is re-signing. I think that Gargano is on Tuesday going to announce, I'm the heart and soul of NXT, and I'm going to stay the heart and soul of NXT. And I don't know how I feel about Owens yet. But, a month, 2 months ago, 100% that he was out the door. Now I don't know. But yeah, I don't think this is as conclusive as you might think.
Okay. So weirdly, good match, by the way.
Really good match.
The cage is lifting, and then Seth starts beating up Big E, and Owens gets involved. They're all beating up each other. We go to break. We come back, and they're all just laying scattered around the ring and in front of the commentary desk. And Jimmy Smits is just like, hey, so this happened.
Yeah, wow. We can't believe the carnage that's just happened here. And I was like, Big E was standing tall not 2 minutes ago.
The steel cage match, did they just get tired again? And what happened in the commercial break was Bobby Lashley just came down and destroyed everybody. I was just like, what?
Yeah.
I was a bit annoyed, if I'm honest, because this triple threat has been one of the most coherent, tightly told stories for a long time on Raw. And I was like, this is mine. This is mine. I can have it. And I like it. And I like the people in it. And now Bobby has just added himself. Presumably it's going to become a fatal four-way for day one.
Yeah, it's odd, isn't it? Because Biggie beat him. And like later on, you got MVP and Bobby Lashley kind of this promo being like, well, the reason why we did that is because I feel disrespected because I'm not part of the championship picture. I was like, yeah, because you lost like a couple of times over to Biggie. So you got to go to the back of the line and not just insert yourself randomly because, I mean, you know, he's won his, I guess he won his feud with the Mysterios.
Was that a feud or was just Bobby hungry for children?
Because it feels like Vince McMahon woke up yesterday and was like, why isn't Bobby Lashley in the WWE Championship picture?
Exactly. Yeah, that's what's happened.
He is the Almighty. Why isn't he part of this? We've got 2 midgets in there. Why isn't Bobby Lashley in it?
What we got for Bubbles?
Yeah.
Nothing, I guess. Put him in the main event. So, I mean, you know, I'm not against that happening. I would just have preferred that to have been the plan from the outset. Because now it's just a story with a clunky Deus Ex Machina involved. But they've got a month to build it. Day one's still a while away.
Oh, well, yeah, it's
3 episodes.
3 episodes
of
of Raw away, yeah.
But am I as into Lashley? Am I more into this now that Lash is involved? No. After that, we went to Zelina Vega beating Nikki, almost a superhero, in barely 2 minutes.
Which we saw literally the exact same match a couple of weeks ago with the exact same finish.
And it wasn't like Rhea or Carmella getting involved. Straight up, Nikki being a her character being bad at wrestling.
Which is the story they're telling.
And Rhea and Nikki are walking backstage afterwards, and a fan comes up to her, and let's try and recreate this eye line. So you're Nikki.
Yeah.
You're looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm the fan. Hey, hey, can I get your autograph? And what do you say?
Absolutely.
I'm not. What the hell? Why are you? I'm not looking at you. Why are you talking to me? Jerry Lawler's right there.
I'm literally talking past you.
So Nikki got confused. She thought someone was asking for her autograph. This random woman who was suddenly backstage. Didn't make any sense, but who cares? Jerry Lawler's here. Memphis.
Yeah, he's re-signed with the company. Get that Memphis pop. The crowd did pop for it. And they are telling this story that Rhea Ripley has saddled herself with a loser. It's weird. She was Raw Women's Champion not that long ago. And it feels like she never was. She won Money in the Bank. But now feels like there's... You know when they started this character, and we're like, oh, this character actually kind of makes sense. You know, she's going to prove to herself that she is good. Right?
I don't think I ever said that.
You didn't, but I was, you know, I was certainly on the fence with it, being like, oh, let's see how this plays out. I'll let it play out. Mm-hmm. They were telling the story of, hey, I have confidence in myself, but I need to prove to myself, I need to prove to people that I am almost a superhero. And then they bollocks that by having her win Money in the Bank and cash in and win the title. And you and I said at the time, that doesn't work for the character. And a lot of people got very angry with us and be like, no, it totally makes sense for the character. But now they're telling the story they were supposed to tell at the start of this, where she needs to prove to herself that she is almost a superhero. But we've already had the payoff to it where she's won the title. So now it just looks like she's crap.
Yeah.
As opposed to she's trying to prove herself.
Not just that, but the events of the summer are a waste of time.
Yeah, well, exactly that, yes. So she is crap, and she's bringing down another former Raw Women's Champion with her.
Yeah. Obviously, we love Nikki as a performer. I don't want anyone to think we're against her. We've always doubted WWE's capability to treat this character well. And I was thinking about how could you have made this character work? Because if I'm honest, I was never into the character, whether it was Nikki's idea or not. I don't think it is a good idea. But then I thought, yeah, what if they did this character from the start and she's losing, but she's always preppy about it. And maybe at the end, she realizes that the real superhero is, because right now she's an alter ego. What if she was the superhero and she has to become her? Like Clark Kent realizing, no, I'm the person.
Yeah.
I thought that would have been quite sweet.
That is quite nice, isn't it? And
it's not what they're doing, though.
No, absolutely no, they're not. Do you think who's turning heel?
Oh, Ripley.
You think Ripley's going to turn heel on Nikki?
Yeah.
Because I like the idea of
a supervillain.
Well, Bliss is going to come back at some point, and like when Nikki first came around, there's a story right there to be told. Nikki is literally a superhero now, and Alexa Bliss is a bad Harley Quinn knockoff. So, like, there's a storyline waiting for you there. But what if Alexa Bliss comes and poisons the mind of Nikki and turns her into almost a super villain, Nikki ASV?
I like that. The idea that, but the story's right there. I don't think it's gonna help you out any with WWE doing it. And come on, man, I can't believe you're gonna slam Alexa Bliss like that.
What?
Wrestle with the Plot got taken down. You're gonna those poor followers of Wrestle with the Plot, and you're gonna slam on Alexa Bliss.
Okay, A, who's Wrestle with the Plot? B, I don't know what you're talking about.
There's a lot of Bliss stands out there.
I'm aware of them. Yeah,
we have
a few that message into us.
Wrestle with the Plot was a subreddit that sort of focused on lady wrestlers, and they love Alexa Bliss. So it's just like, but it got removed from Reddit today.
Oh, did it?
Or yesterday, yeah.
For bad reasons?
For copyright infringement, I think.
Oh.
You're posting OnlyFans content on there.
Oh, well, yeah, don't be doing that. That's literally you putting things behind a paywall.
Exactly.
Don't post our Patreon RSS feed into websites.
Please don't.
Someone actually did do that. When we first started our Patreon, someone launched a podcast that was just our Patreon RSS feed that they had bought for like 1 month and then just plugged it in and were just like, they were downloading the episodes, then uploading them to a podcast server so everyone else could download them.
It's a weird psychology, isn't it? If I'd expect that from regular Joes, but from a Patreon, or are they just signing up to do it? I don't know.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah.
But when that did happen, I remember looking at you, going, "No, Luke, we've made it."
Yeah. And I was like, "We're going to shut this geek down."
What came next was I thought really quite inspired. I was surprised how much I loved this. The announcement of the RKBronament.
Yes, so we got 2 tag team matches with the winners of those tag team matches facing off next week to crown new #1 contenders, presumably for day 1. That's pretty good. I'm into this. And you had Riddle backstage in this blazer with like a WWE logo on it, being like, "Hey Randy, we're going to be not just the architects of this RKBronament, we're also going to be the journalists that interview the wrestlers and special correspondents for it."
Like newscasters, sportscasters.
Yeah. What this meant was that Riddle was on commentary with Randy Orton, who said nothing. And then Riddle would interview people after the match. Well, he did this with AJ Styles. And then AJ walked off in a huff. And Riddle turned to Randy and said, "Hey, Randy, have you got anything to add?" And Randy picked up the mic and went, "No."
But no, he didn't just do that. Riddle went, "Come on, everybody, Randy's going to speak." Randy. And the crowd were like, "Oh." And Randy just went, "Nope." It is the best kind of house show fun on a TV episode. I think people are going to look back at this RK-Bro act with the same reverence we look back at Edge and Christian.
Oh, you reckon?
Oh, yeah, I really think. Like, you think...
The difference is 9 million people were watching that.
Yes, good point. So relatively, scaled down.
Yeah.
But you think where RK-Bro were at the start of the summer, they've only just got together, like 4 or 5 months, really. And the amount of different things they've done. The RK-Bronament, these jackets, dressing up as each other. I thought this was excellent. And Randy put on the blazer, which felt like a huge moment. You asked last week, where is this going?
I didn't know. I didn't say, where's it going? I said it's chapter 1 every single week.
This feels like a new book.
Another chapter 1. Yes, it does. But it's always good fun. And I thought I really enjoyed Riddle in this because he was really funny. He kept doing this whole, like, I'm a journalist. And, like, he's like, oh, my journalist sensibilities are telling me I should interview you instead. But the moment that really popped me and made me laugh is when Otis went to slam him later on and he shouted, "I'm a journalist!"
He's got this earpiece in as well. And he says to Randy, "The voices in my head are telling me to do this." Really good stuff. Yeah. Really good. The match is not so much because it's AJ Styles and Amos. They're taking on the Street Profits here. Amos beats everyone up, gets annoyed at the Street Profits. AJ's about to win. Amos tags himself in and gets counted out.
Like the big idiot that he is. Like, I know we get annoyed that they keep pinning AJ Styles, but I don't think this is much better, to be honest. And they are doing the more teasers of the breakup of AJ and Amos, which I am in, and I think I said this last week, 2 minds about. Because 1, brilliant. Let's have AJ as a singles wrestler again. I've missed seeing him be a singles wrestler. I've missed seeing AJ Styles be taken seriously.
Yes.
Because he is the bumbling idiot of this group. He is the yappy dog to the much better Amos. That's the story they've been telling with all of this. The other side of that coin, though, is like, that means we get an Amos singles push, which Vince McMahon has been wanking over, since the debut, middle of last year. And he wanted to split them up in the draft. And he was talked down from that ledge, but every morning he wakes up and be like, God damn, why isn't he a singles guy? Why isn't he like WWE champion with Bobby Lashley? And I have no interest in an Amos singles push.
There is a timeline, I must warn you, where Bobby wins at day one and Amos wins the Rumble. And it's Lashley versus Amos at WrestleMania, built around Bobby finally giving Amos his first ever bump.
I mean, he is the almighty, isn't he? Like, it sort of works there, doesn't it? And like, that's a Vince McMahonism, right? And I think he kind of likes that. I know there are a few people who are like, you could do Amos versus AJ. I don't trust WWE to tell this story for another 5 months.
It's squash AJ.
Well, yes.
They book him to squash him.
Yeah, maybe that's the match they'll do at day one.
We got a backstage interview with Becky. I think Riddle should have done all of the interviews on this episode. Damian Priest took on Bobby Roode, which was a really good match for the time they were given. There was this spot where, like, Priest did a springboard high knee off the ropes, and Roode sort of caught him, spinebuster. Beautiful.
Yeah.
I just thought, God damn, Bobby Roode, you are a good wrestler.
If only Triple H was in charge, you'd have been pushed to the bloody moon, sir.
And then Priest won, as he should have. He's the US champion. That's not why Bobby is. But Ziggler beat up Damian afterwards. You know what? A Ziggler-Priest feud, I'm into.
I mean, you're not getting that. What you're getting is a Ziggler-Priest match on Raw next week.
Oh, no, and then a handicap match the week after. Handicap match of the pay-per-view.
Could be, yeah, absolutely. It's about time they did that.
Doudrop
his only loss that he's had on the main roster was in a handicap match. You could almost make that a storyline.
Put some Netflix promotional stuff around it, and we're golden. Doudrop then took on Bianca Belair in one of Luke's top 10 matches of the year. Did you go back and edit your award picks?
I haven't submitted mine yet, so
still time.
There's still time for me to add it in. No, I genuinely did like this.
Good.
I realised today, or this morning when I was watching this, that there's two things I'm invested in on Raw. The main event scene of Owens, Big E, and Rollins.
And?
This.
No, Lashley.
Oh, sorry. Oh, man, now you're right. Now I'm less into that, which means the only thing I'm invested in now is Doudrop versus Bianca Belair.
Oh, wow.
And the reason why I think I'm interested in this and why I'm invested in this story is, A, Doudrop was right that Bianca Belair was just being handed all these opportunities and she wasn't. Oddly, just turned heel out of nowhere, which doesn't quite work.
Well, Nia Jax got released.
Well, no, she turned heel before that.
I think it was the same time.
Was it the same time?
That's what Dave Meltzer theorizes.
Oh, really?
That this was Nia Jax's spot.
Oh, and they've just... I mean, actually, that sort of makes sense, doesn't it?
Makes total sense.
Makes total sense. But anyway, so, like, I think Doudrop had a point. And it's also kind of a brilliant match on paper because Bianca Belair's whole deal is, look how strong I am. And, they built this up for 2 weeks with her giving the KOD to Tamina. And be like, oh, but what will happen when she gets into the ring with Doudrop? So there was all of this intrigue going into this. The problem was they had to do it on Raw, which means you have to do a non-finish. And it was a bad finish. But remove the bad finish.
Doudrop just walked out. Got a count out.
Yes. Doudrop... And the reason why it was dumb is because Belair realized she couldn't do the KOD. So she went to do the KOD, but couldn't lift her up. She was not strong enough to do it. And Doudrop powered herself out of it and then walked away as if being like, well, I've won the match, I suppose. Kiss my ass. I'm off. And then she got counted out. And I was like,
That'll show him.
That'll show him. 2 countouts on the same thing. It's like Mandy Rhodes and Dana Brooke all over again. They won in some way. Street Profits getting themselves DQ'd against the Moss. We won in some way. So the finish was bad, but I thought the match was really, really good. I thought Belair looked wicked. I thought Doudrop looked awesome. The Vader bomb spot was rad. I really, really liked this, and it made me want to see them do it again on a pay-per-view where you actually get the finish of Belair hitting the KOD on Doudrop. I don't think you need to do this match here to build to that, but I am really looking forward to them having a rematch of this.
I thought in no way was it the best thing on the show, but I do agree with all your other points. Like, it was well worked to the extent where when that KOD was teased, the crowd got to their feet.
Yeah, it works, man.
Really worked. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is the first real time Doudrop has really got to show how good she is on Raw.
Previously that she was just doing stuff for Eva Marie and doing 10-second squash matches or what have you. So yeah, you're right. This feels like the first proper Doudrop match we've actually had in WWE on the main roster, that is.
Shall we talk about all of the Vince McMahon bits now? Because the next bit, Vince is back and he's got Austin Theory with him. So what I noticed that was different about this one is Vince McMahon his delivery is so slow to the point where it's not a dramatic pause, it's an awkward pause.
Yeah.
But he also does weirdly pronounced eye rolls and finger things. And you watch the Marx Brothers, right? Mm-hmm. He looks like Groucho Marx. Groucho Marx will always do this.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is honestly what Vince is doing, and now I can't unsee. I think surely it's because he probably thinks that's the hot thing at the cinema right now.
Yeah. Has everyone seen Duck Soup?
Yeah, 1933's Duck Soup. But anyway, that's Vince, and he's invited Austin Theory back. We got 2 segments later on. Vince tells him he's going to have a match because he was impressed by him last week. Go away, come back later on. Austin is excited, and Vince goes, so, there's now not going to be a match.
But you know why he took the match away?
Because Theory wasn't expecting or was expecting a match.
It's because Austin wasn't expecting that he was going to have a match, and he was surprised that Vince had booked him in a match. So when Vince said to him, "Are you surprised that I've booked you in a match against Finn Balor?" And Austin Theory goes "Yeah, I am." And Vince was like, "Oh," he looks displeased because the lesson from last week was something about expecting the unexpected, surprises and all that baloney, right? So it is a continuation. It's not a good continuation, but it is a continuation from what they were doing last week.
I love this, but I love this because it's crap.
It's terrible.
As a viewer, I should not have to do this much mental heavy lifting to figure out what people are doing. I have no idea what's going on in this, and not just because I can't understand Vince McMahon's speech.
No.
It's because it doesn't make any sense.
Sean Ross Sapp tweet, he sounds like he's underwater. Austin Theory. And he had this moment when, he took him out of the match against Balor. And I genuinely wrote in my notes, who the hell else is going to face Balor? It was T-Bar. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot he was here. And he says to Theory, "Why don't you do something that'll surprise me?"
No, not surprise me. Impress me.
And so Austin Theory starts doing more jumping jacks, starts doing more star jumps.
He sexily unzips his top first
to show some abs, and then starts doing some star jumps and says, "I can do this all day, baby." And Vince's like, that doesn't impress me. I was like, I think it probably does, in all honesty. And then Austin Theory goes out and he attacks Balor after the match. I think I'm going to ask you this every week. Where do you think this is going?
I think they're going to enter some kind of relationship.
I think, because I don't think they know.
No.
100% they don't know.
They didn't even think this was going to be a thing.
Nope.
It was an egg.
It was an egg.
This was just a one-night deal with The Rock.
This was meant to just be a 24/7 gag, and then The Rock was like, "No, that's crap. Do better." And it was like, "Okay, Austin Theory."
And things have gotten out of hand.
Yeah. And things have now progressed to the point. I wonder if they're going to do not the illegitimate son storyline, but Vince McMahon's looking for an heir. And he's training Austin to be his heir.
To take on a Moss.
No, I don't know.
It was just there was so much homoeroticism here. And I'm a big fan of homoeroticism. That's why I like wrestling.
That's why you read DC Comics.
I'll have you know that this week's Batman is really good. James Tynion the Fourth. So when, the line, oh, you're going to have to find another way to impress me. And Austin takes this as, oh, I'll get my muscles and body out.
You don't think that's going to impress Vince McMahon?
But I don't know if I've still got the photo shot of this. I think I do. It's in my bin. Let me find it. Unfortunately, I can't show this to everybody.
If you'd have given me beforehand, I could have put it up on the screen.
I should have. That is Vince McMahon watching Austin Theory leave the room.
He is. He is looking at his butt. And actually, we were saying...
How could you not?
We were saying on the Survivor Series stream that Austin Theory has got a lot of ass. I think as Adam put it, he's got a lot of cake back there.
Yeah.
And I'm not surprised that Vince McMahon is watching that. It's the, I don't want to see you go, but I like watching you live.
It's exactly that.
Yeah.
Oh, you've impressed me now.
That's a great ass.
I just... Yeah. Whatever. We've spent too much time on this. Where were we? We had the Miz.
Oh, someone said I can put on sponsor cam to show it.
Okay. Just taking it out of the...
Well, I think
there it is.
Vince McMahon was taking it out as well. 1 second. Switched over to sponsor cam.
No card.
Hold on. It goes away in a second. There it is. That's the image right there.
But I hate to watch... I love to see you go, but I love to watch you leave.
Yeah.
That's... Look at the eye line.
That is all ass he is looking at right there.
We've spent too long on bits, so let's rattle through what else happened on the show. MizTV hosted A.S.H. No Maurice, unfortunately, because she doesn't come to rubbish states like Memphis, Miz said, or Tennessee, if it's a state. I hope she is a part of this.
Oh, well, you'd presume she is, because I feel like the point of this is to do a tag match of Miz and Maurice versus Brian and Brie. Sorry, Cena and Nikki. Sorry, I mean Edge and Beth.
Very good.
Thank you.
But they hosted each other. Miz said, do you really like me? Did you really mean all those nice things? Where were those nice things back in 2006 when... I was being hazed in the locker room, and Edge was like, well, actually, I did try and help you out, but you threw it back in my face because you're a spiteful little brat. And then they challenged each other to a match at day one. Let's do this right now. No, because Memphis smells. Good promo, good work. I just have no interest in this match.
I'm not into this whatsoever. And... I know people like The Miz, but I feel like people like The Miz because he's been there for 17 years. It's not because it's because of longevity as opposed to... I said on the Team Danuke show, he is the most consistent 2.5-star wrestler the WWE has ever had. And he has done nothing worse than that. He's also done nothing better than that. And that's a great thing to have on a card. The problem is when he's just then like, oh, now I do the serious promo. I'm like, very hard to take you as a serious... I can't buy into him as a serious promo. Even when he's talking about real life stuff, it still sounds like it's scripted reality nonsense. I mean, it just does not work for me. The only thing of note from this entire segment is that Edge was wearing a Faith No More Angel Dust t-shirt. It's the best thing that was on this show. I'm wearing a Faith No More t-shirt today in solidarity with Edge, who's now my favorite wrestler because he's wearing an Angel Dust t-shirt. An Angel Dust t-shirt, by the way, I used to own, and I lent it to my cousin who then lost it, and I've never found a good replacement for it. I've always found bad replica versions of it that's got the swan on there, but the version that I had was the original, and I had a picture of the band on the back that was a sort of faded picture, and it was so cool. And I haven't had that for about 15 years or so now, and I missed that t-shirt. And Edge was wearing it, and I was like, I didn't listen to a single word either of them said, to be honest. I was like, God, that's a great t-shirt.
And
you.
confused that people blindly like The Miz. Got you.
Well,
Got
in the difference there is that Faith No More have never written a bad album. In fact, they've just written consistently banger after banger after banger after banger.
Their best of is a good album. Mysterios.
Which of their best ofs?
They got multiple.
Of course they have. There's so many options of like great Faith No More songs. You've got to have multiple best of albums.
The Mysterios took on Alpha Academy in another match of the RKBronament. Don't think Otis got tagged in at all, actually. It was all Chad Gable and Dominic.
Yeah, they did make reference to that in commentary that Otis never tagged in because you can't pin the big guy, you pin the small dork that's in the match. And he got pinned by the small dork of the Mysterio team as well.
So we'll have the Mysterios taking on the Street Profits in the finals next week. But afterwards, Riddle got in, tried to interview Otis. Otis scoop slammed him. Grrr.
As a correction as well, because someone just pointed that to me in the comments, Miz has done something that was above 2.5 stars. The WrestleMania match with Shane McMahon.
Oh my word! That's how you use Miz.
That's legit one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time. Just the beautiful vision of Miz Dad awkwardly standing in the ring. What absolute nonsense it was.
Shane falling on that golf cart. Do you remember? He just slipped.
One of the greatest train wrecks. Loved it.
Then we had some Vince and Austin stuff. Not that Austin. Feels weird to say. Didn't mean to say it like that. But then Finn Balor took on T-Bar. They had, for what they did, they only had 3-4 minutes. Really good. Like, this could have been a great match. But Finn won with the coup de grace, and then Austin Theory attacked him afterwards, took the selfie. So I think definitely that's going to be where this goes next. Theory versus Balor.
Yeah, probably on Raw next week.
Dana Brooke is sort of walking through the usual 24/7 title jabronis. Akira Tozawa, R-Truth, they're like, we can't touch you. And then Reggie, I felt like he was hitting on her.
I think he is as well. I think Reggie's playing a long game here. Because Reggie is like acting as the protector of Dana Brooke. Because Tamina tries to like chase her down and Reggie like gets in her way. And so he's like stops her from winning the title, right? I wonder if he's trying to be like, they start a relationship.
Yeah.
So he can pin her while she's sleeping.
That's how he wins the title.
Back, yeah. Because at the moment, it feels like Reggie doesn't want the title back. Because Reggie has multiple options to get the title off of Dana Brooke. Unless, of course, he's like the rest of the women's locker room and has got too much respect for Dana Brooke. She's worked too hard to win this belt no one cares about.
Not Tamina.
Well, no, about Tamina.
Tamina's the only person chasing her.
Natty's just standing next to her, just clapping every time she walks past.
Women's wrestling. We've done so much to elevate it. Well done, guys. And then Bobby and MVP spoke to Kevin Patrick backstage about the disrespect thing, and we got the main event. So overall, I know we dunked on a lot of that show, but honestly, very good by Raw standards.
Yeah.
Just like the opening cage match, the final Liv Morgan, Becky Lynch main event, and the Bronament.
Yeah.
3 really enjoyable things there, and they took up a lot of time.
I actually think Raw has been mostly great since the draft. Great's a strong word.
Yeah.
Good. Better than what it was at the start of the year.
Average.
It has been very average since the draft. But because this year of Raw has been so bad, it feels like a huge step up. So I've been I don't mind watching Raw. Like, it is a perfectly fine 3-hour show. I actually enjoy Raw over SmackDown currently because SmackDown is a terrible television product. So yeah, I thought it was a pretty solid episode. We put it to our community tab. 48% gave it a 3 out of 5.
Okay.
Bang average there. 20% poor, 19% rawful. We said that 20% that always votes 1 out of 5 is just troll vote, so that's just not fair whatsoever. So I think we are in that 3 out of 5, 2 out of 5 category.
Wow, definitely skewers low. I went 4 out of 5 there.
But I think that is people just troll voting. Like, voting for at least 1 out of 5. In the same way that I think there are people who vote 1 out of 5 on Dynamite reviews without watching it.
It's nowhere near that intense, though.
I think there are people who just, because it's been so bad all year long now, are just voting for it without watching that it's bad because they want the perception to be that it is a bad show.
But I think also when something's been so bad for so long, it takes even if they're putting out good shows, it takes a while for you to enjoy the show.
That's fair.
Because you're like, well, why should I care about any of this? It's not going to be followed up on. So it's almost like Raw needs to get the trust back of the viewers to probably see that go up. Because I think that's an unfair score.
I think so as well.
Before we get on with our remaining Ultrachats, Patreon.
Oh, yes. Patreon.com/WrestleTalk. Next week, Ollie and I will be reviewing NXT TakeOver London from 2015, a show that you and I were both at.
And the very next day, I went to see Star Wars The Force Awakens at 6:30 in the morning.
I had already seen it.
You'd already seen
because
it.
I went to a press screening of it, so I saw it like a handful of days before everyone else, and I wasn't allowed to talk to anyone about it. It was
your birthday.
It was my birthday.
Just whet people's appetite. The matches are, get this. Oh, there's a lot of dark matches.
No, well, there's all the stuff taped for NXT the following week.
Right.
Because it has that botched four-way women's match.
Yeah.
Where Emma hits the Vegemite sandwich in the corner and like legit knocked Charlotte Flair out and then pinned her when she was. And she pinned. I can't remember if she pinned.
Sure? Because Asuka defeated Emma on this show, on the main card.
What was the four-way?
The four-way was a tag match.
What's the match? It was. Oh man, it was a different. Oh, it was one before Brooklyn. I'm thinking of because Charlotte Flair was supposed to win, and she gives it to like Becky or something and pins her. But no, it was Charlotte was meant to win because she was dead annoyed about it. But yeah, I think that was before Brooklyn rather than the London one.
But listen to this card. Asuka versus Emma. Dash and Dawson, FTR, versus Enzo and Cass. Baron Corbin with Carmella. Baron Corbin versus Apollo Crews. When Baron Corbin was a totally different act. Bayley versus Nia Jax.
I was telling Tempest about this. I remember being so into that match.
And Finn Balor versus Samoa Joe in the main event.
I had a great time at that show. And I can tell the story about how I lied to get better seats.
Perfect. So yeah, go over to Patreon, WrestleTalk.com/Patreon, sign up there, because not only will you get that next week, you'll also get a shout out on this very podcast. So thank you, the cleaner, Kenny Shah.
He's no jackass, Dano.
Fantastic Mr. Good Old Fox.
The Roller Coaster, Robert Acosta.
WrestleTalk's personal ring announcer, Rodrigo Benitez.
The Vision, Adonis.
Will always mark out for Ollie, Landrum.
Ryan B. Bad.
The Rude Ruler, Ruben.
Shield Maiden, the Zornice.
Chris, the Cypriot Sensation Patrol.
And lastly, for this Hall of Fame class on the 7th of December 2021, Ronald Coleman, baby!
Thank you, everybody, ever so much. And thank you to our Ultra Chatters like Monty Granito. They had a naturally over Stone Cold in old Becky Lynch. The crowd lost it every time her music played, and they chose to turn her into Charlotte Flair. Thanks, guys. I don't think it's that bad.
I don't think it's that bad as well. I can tell you that in the end of year awards thus far, we haven't got all of the submissions in yet. We've had about 20 or so bits of submission in. I'm expecting like another 10, 15 more yet. Maybe even up to 20. Becky Lynch versus Bianca Belair is quite high in the worst match of the year from SummerSlam.
Right, yeah. More of an angle, I guess. Well, Campbell, hi guys. They did well to protect the triple threat participants in the steel cage match. Besides the Bobby thing, they literally laid everybody out. Also, Liv had an excellent shine against Becky, so maybe she'll win the Rumble or a rematch at day one. Also, P.S. It's my birthday today. Happy birthday, Will. Jam at Jam.
Birthday indeed.
Matt Hennessy, I agree with Luke on KO. He has been pushed heavily, and if he was on the way out at the end of next month, why put him in the WWE title picture and protect him in defeat?
To make him resign.
Similar to how they played too hard on Gargano leaving, I think Owens resigns and does a Johnny.
Well, the difference in the Owens-Gargano thing is that War Games was really heavily built up to be like, this could be Gargano's last match. This is more just Owens is in the main event picture. There's no talk of him leaving on commentary or in the angles or anything like that, aside from, them dropping like Mount Rushmore references and things like that. But that is all like insider baseball stuff. So I do think it's two different things. I think this is just WWE are putting Owens into the main event to make him think that this is what is going to happen to him if he sticks around and he'll re-sign. This is what they did with Gallows and Anderson when they were trying to get them to re-sign. It's what they did with Cesaro when they were trying to get him to re-sign. It's like, hey, we'll put you in a title match with Roman Reigns. You re-sign, back to the mid-card with you.
Well, Matt Hennessy continues. We know the contracts of Gargano,
Kyle
Kyle O'Reilly. I don't want Kaylee Ray in my head.
It's fair enough. Matt has written down KLR, so I think that is fair.
Yeah. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are coming up between December and April. At the moment, the only one I see 100% leaving is Kyle. Johnny, I'm 80% is staying. Zayn, 60% is staying. 2 months ago, I would say KO was 100% gone. I'm 50-50 on Owens now.
I'm still 50-50 on Owens as well, but I'm leaning heavily towards the Gargano stay, but I think Kyle's definitely going.
One Anonymous 243. Hi guys, time for another edition of WWE making me angry enough to tear my earbuds out of my ears and power walk away from my desk at work. This was after I spent all of Raw telling my friend, I know Liv's not winning, I won't get fooled again. God damn it, WWE.
It is amazing. Like, everyone went into this show thinking, Liv's not winning this title. But the show did such a good job of being like, maybe she could though.
I think that's good pro wrestling.
So do I.
Yeah, but people have confused that with being bad booking.
Yeah.
No, they misdirected you. That's
I think it's
intentionally.
Yeah, totally. I think it's a very good idea.
CJ Thornton. Loved Becky versus Liv and the cage match despite that somewhat naff finish. Love helping support the lads before heading out to the old work. Jam that jam. Also still waiting on the debut of Viralina, I guess. Vera, like Emelina.
Yeah, we didn't actually mention Vera is still coming to Raw.
I did mention.
Did you?
Yeah.
Was I not paying attention?
He's still coming. Bailey Donovan. With this Austin Theory storyline and the idea of him being like Vince's son, this could all lead to a Mania match with Shane McMahon.
Do you know what? That is such a great point, Bailey Donovan, because Shane will need to have a match at Mania. That's one of the Mania things, right? Is that Shane gets a match. That makes so much sense.
I love it.
You do all of this with Vince and Austin Theory, and then you have them in the ring together with Vince like, I'm about to hand over the power of the company. Here comes the money. Shane McMahon makes his return and is now a babyface.
So Austin Theory in this situation is like Vince is his sugar daddy. And he's like the hot new piece of ass is trying to get the company.
Exactly.
But then Vince should be the special guest referee.
Oh, do you want to see 80-year-old Vince McMahon with the sleeveless on, with his big, his muscly arms there, being like, count down for the 3, having to try and get on the floor for the 3 count.
One Anonymous 243. Not even angry, just at WWE either. More angry at myself because they effing got me. They got me again. They're somehow so effing good at giving me that little tiny seed of hope. It's Finn Balor all over again against either Lesnar or Reigns. Take your pick. I never believed Balor was going to beat either of those.
Never. The people kind of got it because it was the Demon, and the Demon doesn't lose. So I was like, well, it's up against Roman Reigns now. That is also doing quite well in the poll of worst match of the year.
Yeah.
Eak Nichols. Last year, WWE nearly killed my interest in wrestling. If it wasn't for you guys and AEW, they would have ended a 22-year fandom. It will take a literal miracle to get me to give them a single solitary penny again. All the pennies to you peng big boys. In other news, last weekend, I went to my first local show since lockdown in Bury St. Edmunds with 8 friends. A great reminder of why I love wrestling. F WWE. If Jerry Lawler joined Impact, would they call it...
Don't read that out.
Long live WrestleTalk. Yeah, you were right.
We read your joke. We read your joke. Well done. Good joke.
And lastly, Roode Traveled said, shout out, Ollie. I'm starting a YouTube channel. Your reaction to CM Punk's return and video is what it meant to, and what it meant to you resonated with me. I've watched WrestleTalk since almost the beginning. Seeing your journey is an inspiration. Thank you for your hard work.
Thank you for the kind words, Roode. I don't know what a man having an allergic reaction
to the beer
is so inspiring, but take it wherever you find it.
Yeah. I'd also just like to add that people keep yelling at me that The Miz had one good match in 2016. It was 5 years ago.
What match was that?
Dolph Ziggler.
Can't even remember it.
Well, ain't that the story of everything?
Thank you, everybody, for joining us here today and for all your Ultra Chats there. And thank you to Geology for sponsoring this episode.
Making handsome a habit. Click the link in the video description down below. Get yourself 50% off. Just take the 30-second quiz and get a tailor-made skincare regiment for you and you alone. It's a wonderful, wonderful service. Please do click that link.
But for now, I've been Ollie Davis. This has been Luke Owen, DAD. Jam that jam.
Jam that jam, everyone.